Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll kind of just alternate, and I'll start off with Deputy Chief Walter Tate. The first question reads, why have you been with the force for 29 years? What drives you? The job must get hard.
Okay, so I love my job. That's the first thing. I think I love my job, and I always remember my grandma always said, "Son, it's good that we have people like you out there because I don't know what the world would be like without people like you." And I always remember that, right? There's somebody, loved one at home that needs protection, like my 98-year grandma. She needs protection, right? She needs someone that she can call. She needs someone she can trust when they show up. So I feel like, we all have bills, right? If I wanted to be rich, I go do something else, right? But I like being the police. So that's what I'm gonna do until I don't have the energy to do it anymore. And I still have energy to do it, except for this bad knee. We're gonna get that fixed.
Love that. I love that. Kind of sort of around a similar theme around that in terms of like work culture. And this question reads, from one of your town halls, I saw that you all do appreciations. I think that's healthy for a work environment. What inspired you to bring that to the Heart program?
I don't know what inspired it other than I think it's really important. The work is hard, right? And I think it's really important to take time to lift one another up. And not only, so we have a couple ways that we do like our tradition of appreciation. One, in our department, we love Post-it notes if you come over, but we have a wall dedicated to using Post-it notes put on the wall to lift up something, no matter how small it is, that you saw one of your teammates do that you want to just appreciate. And that's really important. But we also have kudos emails. So, and this is a tradition that we developed and building a stronger partnership with DPD. So we're not the only ones who do compassionate care. Yes, it's what's on the back of our shirt because it is central to our work. But we recognize that other responders do it. And so when our team's out in the field, if they see an act of compassionate care, they will send me an email with the officer's name or whatever public safety agent it is, a little bit about it, and I will share that with the police chief. We will add that into their EPEP, their personnel record, so that it can be recognized by supervisors. So I think appreciation is really crucial, and those are some of the ways we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important. So this next question, it was in the Heart pile, but I think it's applicable for the both of you. Has the police department seen a noticeable reduction in the need for resources since the implementation of the Heart program?
Do you have an answer first?
Go ahead.
So we track it. We were in a pilot phase. We had effectively 3 community response teams, but we're able to track how many hours police spend on calls that would have been eligible for us and how much we spend on that. And so from that, I can tell you that I don't know the latest number, but within our first, I don't know if it was around the first 6-month mark, we had saved law enforcement over 1,000 hours of response time that freed up officers to be available for higher priority calls. So I think at least from that data metric, which we continue to track, that's one way that our responders who are going to calls that police otherwise would have gone to is helping save police time and save resources. Is that part of the question, I think?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just what he said. But no, I think that that was pretty much the gist of it, right? So being able to be free to go to another call. If we didn't have the Heart team, right, it's looking at a service from a different lens than just from a police perspective, right? And we learned that throughout what history has taught us, right, in the past years of what has happened throughout the country, that we need somebody that can partner with the police department, right, to address concerns of all citizens and all community members, right? So having the Heart team, community safety team, there could be a high priority for us that we need to get to, depending on staffing, right? And then Ryan's team comes in and takes the other call where he doesn't have to, or that team doesn't have to respond in that 5-minute window, right? They can start looking for wraparound services. And then I know personally, like I've assisted on some calls right at headquarters where I was like, we need the Heart team, right? Even though I'm crisis intervention certified, right, CIT, I felt like his team could handle it better than I could.
So can I have one comment to that? I would say the intersection of those two things is we've, as Brian demonstrated, we clearly have recognized that HART is able to free up, community safety is able to free up public safety resources. That hasn't yet translated to us not still needing more resources on the police side, as is evidenced by the fact that we're not hitting our targets on response time. So it's sort of a both. We would probably need additional police resources that we don't have without the resources in HART. HART has not, at this point, meant that we need less police resources than we have, but they have demonstrated that they're maybe helping us from having to invest even more resources.
That's a good point.
I didn't want to interrupt, I just want to make sure.
I'm sorry, I was introduced. Bo Ferguson, I'm Deputy City Manager for Public Safety. I have the pleasure of working with these two departments as well as the police, fire department and 911. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Alrighty, next question is for the police department. Can a citizen sign up for the community resource unit? If so, when, where, and how?
Community resource unit, are you talking about the citizen, you talking about the community police academy? The resource unit was actually a division, you have to be an officer to be on that unit, but I think that might have been the actual academy. So go to the city's webpage, you can go to our webpage, you look on the left, it says forms, and it also has community police academy, and you fill it out, submit it.
Wonderful. Okay. Next question, I would say it's again for the both of you. Any initial community feedback for ShotSpotter and HART?
Any community?
I don't have any ShotSpotter feedback. What do you got?
So I would say with ShotSpotter, and I thought I saw Carter there, I think with ShotSpotter, I would tell people, wait till the evaluation, right? We have some really, really smart individuals gathering data for us, and we're providing information so we can provide a qualified answer and overall presentation about how it affected the police, how it affected HART. But that trial period is not up. So it would be too early to say, oh, this works, that doesn't work. Let's go through the process and see what happens. And then at the end, you'll be able to see it.
For HART, I mean, the reception has been overwhelmingly very positive. And I think one sign of that is you've seen yard signs across the community. Those were not put out there by my department, right? So that was a grassroots campaign, organized, advocating for more resources for this type of response. I think that my team will routinely talk about, like, we were out on the road and someone pulled up beside us and honked on their horn and they were like, "We love you." So, I mean, we would that all of our first responders were, had that feeling. But our team has gotten a very warm reception, for sure.
Sorry, Michelle, I'm going to talk one more time. Maybe it won't be the last. But one of the things I'm extremely proud of, and I hope you all take advantage of, is both of these departments, both of those programs. I think these departments do an exceptional job of putting transparent data out there for residents and elected officials to make their own decisions. Please go to their website. I am convinced that we have the nation's leading effort to be transparent around ShotSpotter. We have a dashboard where you can see how many ShotSpotter calls we've had, what the sorts of outcomes we've had from that, so that you can make your own decisions about whether or not you think that's an improvement in our community. And likewise for the HART team, all the data is there. So you don't have to wonder how it's working. You can look and decide if you think that's a good investment or not a good investment. And then you can share that with our decision makers, who ultimately will make the long-term decisions about investments in programs like HART and investments in programs like ShotSpotter.
Absolutely. And to that point, I'll also say that we keep talking about going to those portals. You can simply find them by going to durhamnc.gov. So if you just go to that URL and look for their department pages, you'll be able to find those data analytics. So, all right. Next question. Let's see. Okay, this is for community safety.
Yeah.
Does HART respond to the crisis lifeline when people dial 988 for suicide prevention?
Not yet. So 988 rolled out about the same time as Hard did. 988, there's a single statewide call center for our state for 988. We are in conversation with the state Health and Human Services, which oversees a lot of that, about how to build that. I think it's technically possible, just going to take time. We want there to be a way in addition to 911 to get to us. 988 makes a lot of sense, but it's just going to take some time to figure out how to operationalize that for something that is a statewide call center. So we're working on it.
Next question for the police department. Who would a business contact to do an active shooting training for employees?
So we do like, we wouldn't be out there with guns and stuff like that, but we actually do like a plan, like overall, and give you, what to do on it. So it would actually be our organized crime division, which is the Investigation Services Bureau, and our selective enforcement team actually provides that service. So you can contact me. Now make sure it gets to the right person.
Alrighty, I'll keep going with the questions. Again for you, Tate. How do you get young people comfortable with police officers?
So, speaking from experience, I remember I grew up in Durham, went to high school at Northern, went to North Carolina Central, graduated from there. But I remember my friend's father was a police officer, and I was like, wow, he's the police. This is in high school, right? So one of the captains that's retired, his last day was today. We used to ride to school together, so we hooked up a CB in his car. We used to listen to all the fire police calls, and he was like, they're over there. They're over there. So when we would see the police, we was like, they go to police. So just talking to a police officer, right, that was my first encounter, because I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer at first. So I saw the police, I was like, I'm going to be the police. And I haven't wavered since, right? So I think the conversation starts at a young age, right? The conversation starts not just with the young person walking up to the police officer, but that police officer at that time engaged me and talked to me, which made me feel comfortable. And so I think the police, the programs that we have now, right? My son is 11 and he wants to be the police. He went to camp and he was like, I'm going to be the police. Mm-hmm. This summer he went to that camp. He's like, I wanted to be an engineer. I changed it. I want to be the police now. I was like, okay. So I think it's a conversation with kids, with people, and it has to be both ways, from the sender and receiver, to have effective communication.
So we have time for one more question. This one's for you, Ryan.
Okay.
What does mental health look like for staff? Do you have an issue with people burning out?
Not yet. We're young though, so. So one thing I'll say is that the city itself is really going to be focused on this for the next 3 years. The city has a strategic plan that it revises every 3 to 5 years. We just started a new one, and one of the initiatives in that our department's going to lead and work collaboratively with all of our public safety agencies is, how do we really think about the wellness of our first responders, their mental wellness? What can we do? How can we have, the best wellness program in our country for first responders? It is, and let's include in that and not forget our call takers and dispatchers. It's an incredibly stressful, difficult job. And how can we attend to secondary traumatic stress, burnout, compassion fatigue, all things that can happen? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we have all the answers, but we're really focused on that and trying to learn and think about what are the types of investments we can make, and services that we can make sure are available. There are already a lot of things available in the city, but what can we do really to tailor it to the needs and challenges of first responders? So I guess I look forward to coming back and talking more about it in the next 1 to 2 years. But it will be a focus of ours.
All right. Well, that'll conclude this portion of Q&A for tonight. Thank you both again.